Welcome back, everyone. North Country Wildcare has been around for almost 25 years. Their mission is to save wildlife and ultimately return them to the wild.
We are a network of home-based wildlife rehabilitators. We cover the 9 counties from Albany to Essex. And we do the work of helping injured and orphaned wildlife with the goal of getting everyone back to the wild.
Well, you know, it's a tough decision to make whether you can release them back into the wild or they become ambassadors. But your goal is to rehabilitate them, and of course many baby animals as well. And there must be an excitement the day that you get to release them back into the wild, and a little sadness too.
It is the day we live for, and for anyone who's raised a baby or helped an injured animal, sometimes it can also feel, you know, a little bittersweet because you do build relationships with them while you have them.
Now the springtime is the tough time for you guys. You get so many baby animals, and you know, when I was at the gala, I learned so much in May. Great event. Everybody, all the rehabilitators, a lot of them have specialties for certain types of animals.
Yes, we have our squirrel team and our rabbit team and our raptor team, songbird team. We have our reptile and amphibian team. There's big mammals. There's probably more that I forgot.
Now you have an unbelievable network of licensed rehabilitators. You have to be licensed through New York State DEC, correct?
Yes.
How many volunteers do you have helping wildlife?
How many volunteers? Well, so we have, right now, I think we're 60 to 70 licensed rehabbers, plus we have another 50 members who are just supporters who do the work of transporting. So the injured animal's here, the rehabber's here, and we need to get it to the rehabber. They do that for us. And then we also have some members who support our events. You know, they help us with fundraising and things like that, and don't do a whole lot of other stuff, but we need them very much.
So it's quite a network. You guys all work together as a team. And I know you have veterinarians that help you as well, because not all veterinarians can work with wildlife.
Yeah, there's actually very few vets that are willing to see wildlife, and the vets that we have are incredible. And I just also want to point out, we also have a really dedicated hotline team that are answering all those calls.
And education is so important, because some of these animals can't be released, but it's kind of a win-win. They're being taken care of properly, number one. Number two, you can educate people on animals that they could probably never imagine seeing up close.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's super important because there's such a disconnect between humans and the wildlife that's out there. We don't learn it in school. We're like really missing that nature education in this, you know, when we're growing up and learning in school. So it's an opportunity again for people to learn about the wildlife, and it helps to build advocacy.
You brought a couple of ambassadors with you.
I did.
Can you introduce us to them? Can you bring a couple of them up?
Sure.
Okay. The thing about turtles, as Deb mentioned, it's a long process. We worry about them getting hit by cars, obviously. They're crossing the roads this time of year to mate and lay their eggs. And Deb, you were telling me that when the weather really starts to warm up is when we start to see more turtles cross the roads, right?
That is correct.
Now, who is this?
This is Maple. She is a northern map turtle. Hey.
Now, what type of bodies of water would you find this? This is a water turtle, not a land turtle.
Yes, this is an aquatic turtle. They're aquatic basking turtles, which means that they like bodies of water where they have places where they can come out and sit in the sun. They like big lakes. These guys are really strong swimmers, and you'll often see them, you know, on like big rocks that are jutting out of the water, or are really big logs.
Are they a fairly common turtle?
These guys are not as common as some of the other turtles that are around.
Like we always see painted turtles when they're sunning themselves.
Yeah.
So not as common as painted turtles.
Painted turtles are what's called habitat generalists, which means that they'll live pretty much anywhere there's water and food.
Yeah.
These guys are a little more specific, and their diet is a little different. So they're very fond of mollusks, the mussels, and
so maybe a cleaner body of water.
A cleaner body of water.
Gordon.
So Gordon is a common snapping turtle.
Yes.
His head's a little dirty, sorry.
Now, is it true? I've always been told this, and I kind of go by it. Longer tails mean males?
You can't tell on a snapping turtle like that.
You can't? So how do you know it's a boy?
There's a little difference in their, the distance from the back end to where the vent or the cloaca is. In males, it's a little bit longer. Also, sometimes the males get very relaxed and show you.
Now, Gordon is, how old would you say Gordon is that size?
Gordon is 11.
11 years old?
Yeah, he was raised in captivity, so we know that.
So this is the reason why you have him, because you could never...
Excuse you.
you could never release him back in the wild.
Right, he was raised illegally by someone, and they got caught by DEC, and he got confiscated. Excuse you.
Oh, he's just showing off.
He is.
Now, if you see a turtle crossing the road, and obviously we want you to stop if it's safe. What is the best advice to tell people? You instinctively want to help, right?
Yes. The very first thing we always tell people is please don't run into the road if it's not safe to do that. Mm-hmm. So watch out for traffic. That's the first thing you look for. The second thing you notice is which direction the turtle's walking, because that's the way you want the turtle to go. So any turtle besides a snapping turtle, you can grab around the middle, and holding them, we always say, hold them like you're holding a hamburger. You don't want to lose the buns, right?
Yep.
And keep them as low as possible, because they do kick, and we don't want to drop them far.
Yep.
Take them across the road in the direction they were going, get just off the shoulder, put them down, and let them go their way.
Yep. Now, obviously, some wildlife, unfortunately, cannot be released back into the wild because of their injuries. They become wildlife ambassadors, teaching us about the amazing animals around us. We have some amazing birds that, unfortunately, cannot be released back into the wild. First of all, I love owls. I think a lot of us love owls. Who's up behind you there?
This is Wyatt. He's a Eurasian eagle owl. He's the largest species of owl in the world.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Now, where do they live?
Typically in Europe, Asia, and parts of Africa.
And how did you end up saving him?
Well, somebody imported them, and they were breeding them, and I was able to get him when he was a juvenile for educational purposes. You can't release them in the wild here because they are not native. So
It almost looks like a great horned owl.
they're cousins.
They are cousins. Yeah. And we have them around here. They're fairly common.
We do, yeah.
But not as big.
Not as big, right. They're slightly smaller, about him without his head, so the size of his body.
That's still pretty big. Now, Dave, I've seen a lot of these. They clean up everything for us.
They are scavengers.
Dave, tell us who you have there.
I have Clarice. She is a turkey vulture, and she came to us because she was raised alone, and this is what you end up with, a pet. She doesn't know she's a vulture, doesn't know she's a bird.
So again, you can educate people about vultures and have them up close and personal when you bring the birds into a school or whatever, because for some people, they'll never get this close to a wild animal.
Right.
Which is amazing. Now this is amazing here. This is a falcon, right?
Yeah.
What kind of falcon?
He's an Aplomado falcon. He's native to our Southwest, and they were actually extirpated from the United States back in the late 1950s. They poisoned the prairie dogs, and it went up the food chain.
Yeah.
And these guys were wiped out. A conservation group called the Peregrine Fund brought some up from Mexico, and they started a breeding program, and they've gone from being gone to endangered, which is actually better.
So there are some in the wild now.
There are, if you go to Texas, you can see them in the wild again.
But basically, those are the days of DDT and things like that when they were trying to kill everything.
Exactly, exactly. He's a good example of what can happen if we're not careful with the environment. You know, everybody has their purpose.
Now, who's the little guy in front of this? This is really cool. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's my favorite because we have them in our backyards, right?
This is Hootie. He's an eastern screech owl, and they're available in 2 designer colors. If you don't like the red, we have them in a lovely shade of gray. And they live in tree cavities, which is why he's quite happy in the little hut he's in there. They don't screech. They make a trill sound and a sound that sounds a little bit like a horse whinny. It's quite lovely, actually. And, you know, they take care of your little rodents and mammals, and they eat some insects. He was hit by a car, and his left wing was broken. He was taken to a vet, but they couldn't fix the wing, so he has been an educational bird for about 15 years now.
They really do such amazing work with so many types of animals. Take a look at this special guest getting the full treatment from the North Country team. This is a real treat. I know I get really excited. This is Alexis Brose, who you're with Wild for Life, a nonprofit organization?
Yes.
Under the umbrella of North Country?
Yes, I'm also a board member for North Country Wildcare, but I do have my own organization, Wild for Life.
Amazing story. You do mostly mammal rescue. This is Bo. She's absolutely beautiful. You and the team saved her life. Tell us a little bit about where Bo came from.
So Bo came from Schuylerville, New York, and she was rescued on May 5th of 2024. She washed out of the lodge, or possibly it was a really rainy week, just like we've been having lately. And her dam or lodge must have flooded, and she was found in the middle of a busy roadway.
She got washed away, basically.
Yeah.
And you were telling me when you found her, she was what?
She was about this size right here, just maybe the size of her head as she is now. She weighed 450 grams, give or take.
So that's about a pound?
About a pound.
And she had her umbilical cord?
She had the tiniest little stump of an umbilical cord still attached to her belly. So she was, really new to the world. Beavers are born completely precocial, so she had her teeth and all of her fur, and she was able to walk. But she really just had such a hard time of it.
Come over. Mama's over that way, Bo.
Hey, Bo. This sweet potatoes happen to be her favorite tree, so she might migrate a little bit to get to them.
Now, how old is she? About a year?
She's about a year old now.
And you were saying she's about twice as big as a normal 1-year-old beaver?
She is. Bo weighs 35 pounds, which would be more average for a 2-year-old.
How big will she get?
She could get up to 70 or even 100 pounds. 100 would be a stretch, but the way she's going, it's possible.
So she could not be released back into the wild. It just wouldn't work. So now she's become an ambassador.
Yeah, so as Bo got older, she ended up contracting a virus from another beaver that we had at the rescue who was asymptomatic, and that caused her to lose one of her eyes. So as you can see, she's got on one side if she'll turn around for us. But let's give that. Oh.
I love that.
She might not. But when she does again, you'll see that she's missing one of her eyes. And when animals are compromised like that, especially if they've been in captivity for so long from such a young age, it just seems like not only would she not be a good fit for the wild, but she just had such a higher purpose as an educational animal and an ambassador.
Well, everybody here at News 10, when they heard there was a beaver in the house, they all came running. Now, you do take her out for swims. I've seen some of the videos. You guys can go out to a pond and you can just have a fun day.
We do. So because we're so closely bonded with me as her caretaker, she follows me just about everywhere. And we have a beautiful 1-acre crystal clear spring-fed pond on our property that is just Bo's. So she goes, we often go swimming in the water there, and it's so spectacular to see the underwater footage and get to dive with her because no one really ever gets a view of beavers like that.
The videos that you have on, now Bo is all over social media.
She is.
And if you want to see some of the videos, Facebook, Instagram.
Yep.
And you can actually see some of the videos diving under the water, and it is absolutely amazing. You you are hoping to release more beavers this year?
We are hoping to release more beavers. We have another beaver named Arrow who came into the rescue around the same time as Bo, but was a little bit older. Arrow recovered from the virus that Bo has and didn't seem to have any complications from it. She also has a really wild personality. So, you know, obviously the names Bo and Arrow, they were really close when they were babies, but now they have these diverging paths where Bo has this opportunity to be a voice for beavers like Arrow who are in the wild.
Still ahead, sitting down to discuss the state of animal laws in New York. But first, we've got another great video from a very talented dog. We promise, no abuse here.
Bang! Good girl. Bang! Good girl.
This Pet Connection special is sponsored by the Animal Hospital, Fallon Wellness Pharmacy, Curtis Lumber, and Capital Land Motors.